Here on Inside Tennessee. Last week we looked back at 2006. This week we look ahead in the political circles of the city, county, and the state. Joining us this morning, Rob Frost, 4th District with City Council, and our panelist, Jack McElroy, who's the editor with the News Sentinel.
Howdy.
Regular panelist, SRW and Associate Susan Williams.
Good morning.
And this man, Dennis.
Good morning.
We missed you last week, sir.
They finally made bail. I got to come back.
Yes, thanks for joining us. Well, let's begin, Rob, with you and talk about some of the things that we're going to see this year on City Council. What do you think is going to be the tops of the agenda?
I'm thinking about it, John. I've come up with a few things. First, we have city elections. The mayor, the city judge, 4 seats on City Council are coming up. You can pick up your petition in a couple of months here in March. Susan's getting nervous.
I am.
Just getting over elections.
It's just hard to believe.
South Knoxville waterfront, a plan that could take 20 years, over $100 million. Public-private partnership moving forward. We're going to have the downtown cinema opening up in June. We've got Cisco spending about $30 million on Costa Shop, the I-275 business park. So we've got a lot of good things going on and coming up in the coming year.
Now, what are you going to dig your heels in on?
Well, South Knoxville waterfront is important. There's a lot of money, a lot of property, and a lot of people involved. And we've got to balance those things to make sure that we're protecting the folks who live there, who have their businesses and their lives there, and as well as getting a good development out of it that has a good return for the citizens who are the taxpayers.
In your vision, what does that look like 5 or 10 years down the way as we look across the river?
Well, depending on who you ask, some of the South Knoxville waterfront is underutilized. We have some folks that are putting money in right now in terms of mainly condominiums. There's talk about spending a significant amount of money on a river walk right along near the edge of the water, and in part putting it between the Gay Street and Henley Street bridges below Baptist Hospital, which will be a significant challenge, but will be, real dramatic. That would probably be a really good place to watch Boomsday, for example. There's discussion of a possible Children's Discovery Center, South Knoxville, as part of this development. So there's a lot. It's going to be a long-term project, so it's going to take long-term planning to return the best for Knoxville.
What are your biggest concerns with it?
Well, that it's done fairly, that it's done equitably, and that it's done economically. I think that's what people want when they see good government in action.
Are you talking about, let's go back to downtown for a minute. There's been an article this week about Market Square in the west and the disposition of all of that property. Are you concerned at all about that, if that property gets tied up in the government hands and, we don't, I'm not sure what's going to happen with it.
No, I think, with due respect to the media, it's a lot of tail wagging the dog. There's an awful lot going on downtown that the West haven't had anything to do with. And by folks emphasizing the West, you're really downplaying the success stories like Tomato Head, Shonos, other businesses there on Market Square. Mass General Store, it's the only one in the state, and you're only going to get them in downtowns. Mass only develops their stores in downtown. So if you want to go to that, the next closest one is North Carolina or South Carolina. So I think the West situation, in many regards, it's been perhaps over-sensationalized. It's made, good for the media.
Headlines.
Right, but I think the government is very sensitive. I've talked to folks with the federal government concerned about what's going on, and the folks who are going to, maintain the property until it is turned over by whichever method to somebody else, they know what they're doing.
Have you had an opportunity to work with Madeline yet since she's come on board?
I've said, hey, how you doing? I think she'll be good.
Oh, I think you're right.
Right. There's a lot of challenges in that department. That's a very important department for our city, and we need to be able to get the empowerment zone funds that we were allocated, even though it was a diminished amount from what we were expecting. We need to be able to put that on the street, and it needs to be in a fair method that returns the most for the investment. If we have a loan fund, the idea behind the loan fund is that it's going to replenish itself so we can make other loans. We need to, strike a balance in that regard, too.
Jack, quick question.
How's the city budget look for this coming year? Is there going to have to be any belt tightening, or are revenues looking pretty good?
Well, there can always, you can always look to find new ways to belt tighten. You always want to look for ways to do more with less. I'm not sure that we're going to have a property tax increase. I would very much tend to doubt it this year. I'm just only one vote, though. But I don't think one is coming. I think the city is faring well enough where we are not going to need one.
And it is an election year.
Yes. I'm not on the ballot. So.
Thank you, sir, for joining us this morning. We'll be back to talk county politics after this.
Here's another Food City solution for your busy life. Bring your prescriptions to Food City and have them filled by a professional pharmacist while you do the rest of your shopping. It's a great way to save time and money. Winter weather means colds and flu.